And now, ladies and gentlemen of the old world, we're back in business once again with a High Elf showdown. And it's actually going to be IMRIK on his mighty dragon, which I think is called like Mithrand something or other. And today, my friends, we face off against the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by King of the Dead on his main scary faction. And it looks like it is going to be Settra the Imperishable. Now, as far as the build goes in the front line, it is going to be 4 Rangers. I have 4 here and 1 kind of lurking in the shadows somewhere. Could have sworn there was a 5th, and yes, he's up here in the tree line. Now, Rangers, I think, are very good against Tomb Kings. Firstly, obviously, you're going to be fighting skeletons who, except for the Tomb Guard, and Tomb Guard themselves only have 50 armor, not much armor in the front line. So the bonus for his infantry, the 28 weapon strength, and, the decent combat stats of 30 and 36 is generally enough to take down skeletons, skeleton spearmen, and against more elite troops like Tomb Guard or Tomb Guard with halberds, they will lose that fight, but in terms of a cost effectiveness and, trading perspective, they actually do a decent job. So it's going to be 4 Rangers in total. The loose formation can be helpful as well against these Screaming Meme, Catapult, Caskets, things like that. Granted, maybe against Caskets it wouldn't be so helpful. So in the back here, we do have 4 Bolt Throwers. Now, Bolt Throwers, I think, or Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, I think are one of the best units against Tomb Kings. Very, very good against all the constructs. Also can counter-snipe the Casket and Bone Giant play, and just give you some really good battlefield control and kind of put a timer on the game. So your opponent sees them, they have to deal with them, and it's a little incremental damage. It's not huge, but it does add up and really can be a serious breadwinner. Now, of course, one of the Tomb King's answers to this is Nehekar Horseman, Skeleton Horseman, Carrion, and as such, you kind of have to respond in kind. And Reavers are really good at this. They actually have pretty good combat stats, can trade evenly with Nehekar Horsemen, can deal with the Carrion very easily and Skeleton Horsemen. So in total, I do have 3 of those. We have 3 Reavers and 1 Silverhelm just to be our heavy hitter against some of the more elite troops. Now, had King come in with like Necropolis Knights or heavy constructs like that, again, I would have pretty good answers here with the Bolt Throwers. Up in the sky, we're going to be going with IMRIK. He's not a terribly common pick, but IMRIK does do fire damage, has insane combat stats, and does also have the Lord of Dragons and Vuvuzela to boot. So here you can see he can lower their stats by 24 and 40 respectively, which is great for dueling the big monsters. And he does also have the Dragon Horn and the Star Dragon Breath attack. I do think IMRIK's pretty good here. A little bit of a gamble. He's very expensive, like just costs an arm and a leg. So if he gets caught and taken out early, you just straight up lose the game. But a little bit all in, but I still think IMRIK has some teeth. A lot of people probably consider Teclis and Alariel to still be the best lords, but I think he's decent here. We do have a Mage of Life, and that is pretty much it. So for King's Army, it's a very elite front line. It's Tomb Guard with Tomb Guard halberds and support, 2 groups of Nehekar Horsemen with Settra and a Kemrian War Sphinx, and a mighty Screaming Meme Catapult here in the back, which, honestly, catapults, caskets, things like that are very good against High Elf Archer builds, so certainly could have caught me off guard had I brought more archers. So the battle is underway here. Going to be a charge in the front. Nehekar Horseman getting a freebie, unfortunately, into my Rangers. I did countercharge, but he still came out a little bit ahead there. So here on the other side, I do use my Reavers to kind of block the charge and send in the Rangers this time because I wanted to kind of distract this force while IMRIK just basically goes balls deep over here on this Necrotect. And you can see the Necrotect is taking a lot of damage. 2 shots right there. I think it was about 2. Even with the Narrow's Incantation of Protection, was able to bring that character to half-life, and the Vuvuzela has been sounded. So now my entire army is going to be getting a massive melee attack buff, making the Rangers trade that much more efficiently against a light armor here of the Tomb Kings. So once again, really just trying to make a big point here to go after the Necrotect and take that guy out early, because I'm shooting all my Bolt Throwers currently at Settra the Imperishable. Now, it's not a lot of damage, he's dodging a lot of shots, but it does add up, like I said. So if I can get rid of the Necrotect and, get the Restore off the table, which is very, very good, that's going to be a huge boon for me as we do go forward here in this game. Now in the back line, as expected, King of the Dead is trying to use his Nehekar Horsemen and other Hound units, or Hound-ish units, to try and take out the Bolt Throwers, but the Reavers are doing their job relatively effectively. However, the cunning opponent, the cunning foe, King of the Dead here, does have his Skeleton Horsemen up in the hills, and should be able to get one of my Bolt Throwers here, which is very unfortunate that I didn't see that, but well played to him. So here we do pull back with IMRIK. IMRIK was able to take out the Necrotect at the cost of about 25% of his life, but nothing an overcasted regrowth can't handle. Does heal upwards of 2,000 HP, which is insane. Yeah, Necrotect here is actually crumbling with 30 HP. So yeah, we got him pretty low, and Settra himself is starting to take a bit of damage. Now in the frontline fight, I'm obviously losing. It's going to be Tomb Guard against, Rangers, so the Tomb Guard should have the advantage. I think this was a bit of a different fight. I think I had some Cav units over there helping, and that's why it's the case. And in the back, I do actually notice a Skeleton Horseman, so I get my Illyrian Reavers, and I send them back there, and Reavers should be able to beat Skeleton Horsemen very handedly. So the Bolt Thrower took some damage, but it's really not the worst situation. And also we have another gooning attempt here, so I have my Rangers, and IMRIK has come in, but the Incantation of Desiccation has lowered my stats. And the ward save, of course, from the Narrow's Incantation is very, very good, but IMRIK was able to get some big, thick damage here on Settra, which is quite nice. The Lord of Dragons certainly living up to his name with his juicy combat stats. Even when being nerfed, his stats still are pretty good. And the Bolt Throwers are still shooting, so every second this fight's kind of trickling on here. The Bolt Throwers doing a little bit of damage here, 200 here, 300 there, good steady AP. And you can see that IMRIK is actually getting him very, very low despite the 2v1 situation. Kemrian War Sphinxes are more designed to go after infantry anyway, so IMRIK should have a pretty big advantage in the monstrous duel here. So Cetra is going to be kind of a turning away here, and unfortunately IMRIK does take a couple blows, but I do use an Earthblood here to heal up all these forces. And I'm just kind of holding back the Tomb King's force, really. You know, the Rangers, like I said, actually performing much better than I expected. Yeah, you can see here these Tomb Guard are being cut down. 66 kills, maybe the Rangers do. We'll have to do some testing on that. I would have figured they would lose, but in the back we do also have the Reavers, and they're able to get the Bolt Thrower down, or the Screaming Meme Catapult, excuse me, and that's a really nice thing. We'll take some pressure off my Rangers, and now IMRIK is forced into mortal combat here with the Khemri War Sphinx, but the Dragon Horn is activated, and also the Regrowth is activated as well, so he should have an advantageous duel here, considering his melee attack is frickin' 94, which is huge. So doing a really good job, you know? And I kind of prefer this playstyle to using like the Bolt Throwers, because I really, as a High Elf, someone who's trying to learn High Elves, I really do struggle using like traditional Archer builds. I just find that they get compromised, and I have trouble kind of protecting them and using Techless and things like that. I do actually like using this big combat lord here, the IMRIK. So here, Cetra is still holding on. Battle's pretty darn close. I am a little bit ahead on the balance of power, but it's a bit of a false situation here, as there still is a lot of Tomb King's threats here in the battlefield. And now my Mage of Life is being hunted, but the Lord of Dragons activated once again, and up in the sky, IMRIK is going to be descending from the heavens and should be able to get some good attacks here on Cetra, but I do miss that one, which is unfortunate. Nope, got it there. And 750, that is so much damage that he just took, and he is crumbling down. Lord of Dragons, such a good ability. 18 melee defense and 0 melee attack right now. IMRIK just giving him the business right there. And down goes Cetra the Imperishable. So now IMRIK is going to be making his way, trying to get away from this fight. I do want to reset my charge bonus, and I also don't want to be fighting the Horsemen and also the Khemri War Sphinx. Granted, I might be able to do it. I still don't know if that would be worth it. So yeah, we still have the Kepler Guard here. Very annoying unit to deal with, so I do send in my Reavers to cycle charge a little bit, and these Rangers are going to be pulling in as well. The Bolt Thrower crews have also come back. We have one right here. I think we have 3 left in total, and my Mage of Life is out of the picture, which has actually pulled the balance of power back a little bit for King, but you can see here the Mage is back in business. Earthbloods are back on the menu, boys. Try to get a breath attack here on the Kepler Guard, but sometimes, yeah, I gotta get better at those breath attacks. It's a really important part of being an Elvish player, or, you know, anyone who wants to use dragons, really, which is typically Elves, but yeah, I missed that breath attack pretty good, but still, I guess it did a little bit of damage. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking, instead of like committing to the fight, I'm going to stay away from the Khemri War Sphinx and look for the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to try and find units that are a little bit isolated, that are away from his heavy hitters, and you know, IMRIK can just go crazy on and do a bunch of damage. Here we're trying to surround the Halberds. It didn't go as expected. The Halberds held really well with their 47 melee defense, and I couldn't even get them to crumble with a full surround like this. So that was pretty disappointing for sure. But like I said, the bounce bar did kind of creep back. The Kepler Guard are able to really buzzsaw through a lot of my Rangers. Those guys have insane stats, and of course they have regeneration, which really helps them outscale the kind of nicking slow DPS here of the Rangers, who only have 28 weapon strength. But the Bolt Throwers are back online. We got one Bolt Thrower kind of coming back into business here, so should be able to remount that. You can see the crew has gotten back online, and just going to keep poking here at the Khemri War Sphinx, trying to bring that boy down, because King is doing a really good job centralizing his forces. But that's one advantage. It's a disadvantage for me that he's all, you know, kind of grouped up here with like halberds and monsters. But on that same note, you know, I have my Bolt Throwers. I have one here, I have one up at the hill. I think the other 2 are down here somewhere. And this was actually a big problem during this game. I was like losing track of where my Bolt Throwers were. I was like, where are they? I was like looking and zooming into the map because they're so small. Perhaps something I have to be a little bit more aware of here. Nonetheless, the Vuvuzela sounded once more. I had a couple Rangers fighting, but they broke very quickly. And here we're going to be getting a huge breath attack. King does try and dodge it, but that was actually a good one. We took out about, yeah, almost 20 models right there and did a lot of HP damage. That breath attack there from the Star Dragon was very, very juicy. And now I do see the Khemri War Sphinx is alone and naked here in this wild world. So we're going to be jumping in, going for the duel. But King, he's known for holding those Ushapti summons in the back pocket, so I'm sure we'll see it. Lord of Dragons is activated. War Sphinx is at 3,500. Let's see after an attack from IMRIK here. A bit of an awkward animation, but he does get in there. Yeah, down to 2,800 from the Bolt Thrower plus IMRIK's attack. Certainly 700, 800 damage there in a burst. Very, very good stuff. But the Ushapti summon is here, and if I stay and fight with the Ushapti kind of banging on the dragon, I could probably lose this fight here. IMRIK isn't super healthy, 3,000 HP, so at this point, I pull back, and if I can get away from the Ushapti summon, it doesn't trap me. I can just basically wait it out. I do have the Bolt Throwers up. I have one here and one here. Unfortunately, they are being chased by the Kepler Guard, who are just such a pain. Kepler Guard's speed is 28. Bolt Thrower crews, I think when they're running, is like probably like 32 or something. So I should be able to get away. So I send in the Mage of Life here, who's not a bad combatant. She's got, you know, her Radagast stick right there and should be able to fight these guys off. And IMRIK is coming over as well, looking to see if I can kind of catch the Kepler Guard down here. And the Ushapti summon is being sent into the hills, which is very unfortunate. I had a Bolt Thrower with a ton of ammo up here, but the Ushapti probably will be able to take out that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. So very rough situation for us there. Now back down here, Kepler Guard are getting a little bit danger low, 1,700 HP. IMRIK's doing his best to kind of wear these guys down, as is the Mage of Life, but now comes a relatively scary situation as the Khemri War Sphinx was getting the charge there, so I pull in some very tattered cav. I try and cast a heal on IMRIK before he gets up in the sky to get him to his healing cap. He has a little bit of healing, maybe like 100 HP. I'm going to be trying to get that off here. And we do charge into the Cambrian War Sphinx. We get some fat damage for sure. I think this is a regrowth, which even if the healing is kind of wasted, it still does give him the perfect vigor. So suddenly IMRIK is like fresh, right? Which is really important here in the fourth quarter. And IMRIK has just been out-dueling these constructs this entire game with the Lord of Dragons and all his support abilities. You can see the Cambrian War Sphinx is getting danger low. This thing's at -29, so I kind of figured, let's kind of get out of here. I'm surrounded by halberds. I'm taking a lot of unnecessary poke. Let's run away. Probably does mean sacrificing my Mage of Life here, but we need the Cambrian War Sphinx to start crumbling down and really, capitalize on that. So IMRIK's going to be trying to get away. I do take a lot of damage in the process. Maybe I should have just stayed for one more attack animation, but everything in hindsight is very, very clear here. But I figured let's just let this thing crumble, and then from there use IMRIK and our Rangers to really take apart the rest of this army. So unfortunately, guys, Bounce Power is kind of creeping back towards the middle. King of the Dead was able to get the Cambrian War Sphinx out alive, although -38 crumbling I think is 10 HP. I think it's like 10 or 11 per second or something like that, but certainly not fast enough for my liking. And here you can see the Mage of Life is going to be getting trampled, so no more healing for me, which would have been not super useful anyways. I guess dropping like an Earthblood or something on these Rangers could have been nice, or regrowth for the vigor buff. Here we do get the Tomb Guard crumbled down. IMRIK is able to rotate over there with his 1199 HP. We should be able to take out the Tomb Guard. They're crumbling, -48. I feel like when it gets like that low, like -50, it should be more of like a punishing crumble, I always felt like. But there's a point when it gets like high enough where they start to like disintegrate when they're like really, really badly beaten up. And down goes the Cambrian War Sphinx, which is big. I do use my Reavers for a little bit of a charge into kept regard, but just the mere presence of these fear-causing undead here is able to break them off. So now it's the fight of fights, and I know that if I just send IMRIK and my Rangers in, they'll actually lose this fight. Those Tomb Guard with Halberds and kept regard, like, they're so damn hard to break. So up here, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a rope-a-dope, as they say in the boxing world, but basically, we're going to be getting the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower back online, as well as the Bolt Thrower over here, and just doing a little bit of crossfire. So we'll do some fast forwarding here. So you can see we're getting the good spray fire, it's doing some decent damage, and he's chasing the other Bolt Thrower piece, and we're actually getting them pretty low. Granted, the Bolt Thrower wasn't shooting at the center mass, so since I've expended all of my ammunition, I'm no longer shooting in accordance with the tournament rules that we play in. And, most people do that in multiplayer. I do get a breath attack. I thought it was going to be center mass, but for some reason the dragon's like, I'm just going to shoot at those two guys over there. So I thought they were all lined up and buttered, so that's really bad. That could honestly lose me the game. So we charge in here. IMRIK's very low. I mean, a couple attacks from the halberds could get IMRIK to the danger zone, and now this Bolt Thrower crew was trying to run, but they get kind of caught up, and the other one is out of ammunition as well. So just going to be pulling those guys into combat here. But IMRIK's doing a lot of damage and hasn't taken more than 70 damage so far, so really trying to stay away from the halberds and attack the kept regard. Really need to get rid of those anti-infantry pieces, because the halberds will kill the Rangers very slowly, comparatively speaking. So I do need to get those units down. And here we're at 1000 HP. The Tomb Kings are looking to crumble. I mean, obviously it's a big scary dragon, so there's going to be a lot of leadership issues, and there's only 10 kept regard. Halberds are getting danger close to army losses, and now that this Bolt Thrower crew has come back, I can equip them to the Bolt Thrower over here, which means King is going to have to deal with that. So I could kite back and shoot him with the Bolt Thrower once again. But it looks like IMRIK himself and the Rangers who are still fighting, these brave Rangers, the heroes of the game, man, are going to be able to break down the Tomb King's forces. And that's how it goes, man. A lot of you guys say there's never high elf wins on the channel. Where there you go. Hopefully that one satisfies you guys. And I really do like that build, actually. And I think it kind of suits my playstyle a little bit more. I always like to use these like defensive artillery builds with elves. And yeah, the Bolt Throwers were great. The Rangers did an exceptional job for their cost. And IMRIK was just a linebacker. He killed the Necrotect. He killed Cetra. And then he finished off the War Sphinx at some point as well. He was just an absolute beast. And it's really cool to have a big, expensive unit actually pay off. It's always like really disappointing whether you're playing 40k or Total War when you get like, yeah, it's the big end or Rogue Idol and it just does like nothing and you spend so much on it. But in this case, it definitely tickled the pickle, as they say. So very well played to King. I certainly liked his build. It was fun. It was a very close game. Certainly could have gone either way. Had a couple attacks gone differently. And hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing High Elves in action. I'm trying to slowly branch out to the Elvish factions. And Dark Elves are the ones I'm probably the worst at. Or Dark Elves and Wood Elves. But High Elves, I feel like I'm getting some teeth for sure. So I'm going to be trying to keep this High Elf faction going and get better at them. So hopefully you guys are excited to see more of them on the table. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you're staying safe in these dire times. And until next time, yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Talk to you later.